gentlemen, welcome to the latest edition of RedArmyTV. The Middlesbrough Official Supporters Club have taken over, sitting on the couch. It is, of course, I was going to say El Presidente, but Mark will be certainly disappointed if I say that. Hello, Mark. It's the chairman, Steve Rock. Hiya, mate.
Greetings.
And the secretary, Simon Bolton.
That's me.
Now, there is a reason why MOSC has taken over. It's the mere fact that you had your Player of the Year awards this week, but more of that a little bit later on. Fellas, let's focus on the matter in hand. Obviously, the last game, Brentford. A lot of fans after the international break thinking this is our opportunity to put right the wrongs of recent. Didn't quite work out that way. What did you make of the game, Rocky?
The game after Brentford, you mean Saturday? That was Barnsley.
Ah, Barnsley.
Yes, yeah, sorry. Actually, I wanted to backtrack to Brentford for a second.
Yeah, I've had an international break of my own.
That's
Barnsley.
Right. No, it's okay. Yeah, it was a game that we all wanted to win, obviously. All expected to win. But people keep forgetting that there's always two teams on the pitch. And sometimes this other team that are also playing the same game as us are going to have a patch of play that's going to be dangerous. And if we don't do it right, it's going to get punished. I've said this before a few times, many times in fact. We've got no God-given right to win every game. We all wanted, we get frustrated. We don't like the booing. Stay at home, watch Jeff Stelling on a Saturday and keep warm if you're going to go to the ground and boo. Get behind the team, that's all I can say, because they will come good.
Simon, can you do me a favour? Can you just tell me what that word says there on the notes?
Barnsley.
Yeah. It's just me, I'm a pillock. It's old age creeping in. Thanks, man. Give us a.
No.
I could do with those glasses. Your thoughts on the Barnsley game, mate? On the result?
Well, it has to be on the result because I wasn't at the game. I was taking in the delights of the Northern League. But just I was seeing the highlights, reading the match reports and everything. Just frustration that we give away goals in situations where we shouldn't be, and the fact that we are scoring goals, but it's not winning us games because, as in the Brentford game, we let two daft goals in. So that's a frustration about it. I mean, there's no doubt on the balance of play, just looking at the stats and just looking at the highlights, yeah, if we'd got 3 points out of the game, certainly Barnsley couldn't have argued about that because we were the dominant team. But it's just a frustration about the fact that we let a couple of goals in. Granted, one of those was an own goal, but it's still a goal against.
I know I was slightly critical of the lads at the weekend. I was as disappointed as anybody. But I still subscribe to the fact that Rocky's just said, we're going to be all right. I think we'll click. And once we click, it'll all just fall into place nicely because we're too good a squad. We've got two good individual players than the rest compared. I just think it just takes that time to gel, and it's taken longer than we were expecting, put it that way. We'll talk more on the game specifically, but let's get your thoughts. Let's get those fan rants, the guys on the Red Army coach coming back from Barnsley.
Slow to start again. Should have really beaten them. 3 points for the taking. Big loss. Only Braithwaite really put an effort in.
Like you said, we started slow. I think again Braithwaite was decent. He put effort in. Ayala poor. That remake was just absolutely too basic. Like turning your back and giving the pass away there. But yeah, I think we need to raise it. And raise it soon because if we don't, then we'll be daft.
Go on, not good enough. Nothing simple, no any good enough.
What's the problem then?
Shabby defence, awful defence.
What's the problem? Who's the manager?
Maybe it is the manager, I don't know, maybe it's the players.
Excuse me while I have a quick drink. So they're the fans' views coming back from Barnsley. Disappointed everybody was. A couple of messages coming in already. We're live, of course, on Facebook Live, and you can contribute to the show. You can email us, studio@redarmy.tv. You can DM us, whatever that is these days, or you can message via the hashtag RedArmyTV. Paul Frost is watching. This is not smashing it. Thanks for that, Paul. Andrew Graham in similar style. Far from smashing the league, fellas. Obviously, there's a lot of fans out there who are as disappointed as we are. Let's look at the game itself, though. Simon. An incredible 9 minutes to think, or first 10 minutes to think 3 goals, and you're wondering, is it going to be 14-13, this one?
Well, it started off a bit crazy, didn't it? I mean, you got the early own goal, and then looking good for the Borough in the fact that Braithwaite got the equaliser, but then straight up the other end more or less, and it's 2-1, and you start thinking, is this going to end up like 5-4 or something like that? Didn't quite work out that way, but no doubt when they were analysing the game back in the studio, they probably thought we're in for a goal fest here. Just glad in the end that we got the draw, that we actually managed to score in the second half, because say the first half, the first start of it looked like it was going to go crazy.
I was doing the commentary on the game at the beanback at the Riverside, Rocky, and fantastic day it was too, apart from those 2 goals that went in against us. But at 1-1 I went, this is it, game on, now we can do it. And it went to 2-1. And at 2-2 I said, that's it, game on, now we can do it. Were you thinking the same?
Absolutely, yeah. I said in the pub, we were on the Red Army travel bus on Saturday, and we stopped at a little place in just outside Barnsley, and I said, we're going to go a goal behind today, but I think we'll win 3-1. And the consensus around the room was 3-1's a good scoreline to take. So when we went 1-0 down, I'm thinking so far so good. To be honest, because I still think we're good enough to come back. And this is something we are not used to, Borough coming from behind all the time. Admittedly, we're only getting a point from it at the moment, but even when we were 2-1 down, I turned to a lady stood next to me and I said, we're going to win this 5-2. And she said, I've just exactly said that to him next to me, that we're going to win this 5-2. Didn't happen. Yeah, I'm the world's worst tipster. That's a well-known fact. But I'm expecting goals from this armoury that he's got at his facility now. There's goals in this team. There's goals galore.
Well, Brick got his 6th of the season. We are expecting that from him. It's unfair pressure, but he's a striker and he's a big name striker, so you expect him to score goals. But what about the fellow we opened the show with, Martin Braithwaite? What a fantastic display.
Yes, well, I've been saying all along, when we seen him in the first match in the pre-season friendly, the guy is, in my opinion, going to win the Player of the Year award for us. Already just in that one pre-season friendly game, and he got that injury during the Wolves game, and we didn't see a lot of him until he's come back now. He is the keystone for us. I'm certain about that. We're jockeying with the number 10s. Everybody's got a different opinion who should play in that position, even wide of the left and the right of the 10 position. But this boy is something special. Absolutely joy.
Absolutely, and fantastic performance, and long may it continue. There's creativity there, there's enthusiasm there, there's a bit of pace, there's something about him which is fantastic, and I'm sure we'll talk long into the season about him. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We want to get onto the Player of the Year awards, because that's an important one for Borough fans, who's been picking up the silverware. Just before we come to the MOSC Player of the Year awards, let's catch up with a bit of social media. Here's Sam with the details.
Let's take a look at what a few people had to say on social media about last Saturday's performance against Barnsley. We'll start things off with Martin Braithwaite. He tweeted, "There's no easy games in this league, but we need to be doing better. Thanks for the great support. Please stick with us." Borough fan Claire Bowdler, she shared her views on Twitter. She had this to say, "Not panic stations yet, but frustrating times, giving teams goals and not clinical enough up front." Active Twitter user Bernie Slavin, he also expressed himself on social media. He had this to say, "A point on our travels should always be classed as a good one, but a point at home against average teams should not." And another tweet from a Borough fan, this one coming from Simon Lee. This is what they had to say. "Understand fans' frustration, but the negativity is toxic. I'm still confident we'll be up there come May. People need to calm down." And finally, the man that bagged himself another goal at the weekend, Britt Assombalonga, he took to social media. He had this to say, "Not the result we wanted, but we'll take the point away. Thank you to the travelling fans being behind us. Safe journey home. Let's go again next Saturday." Good words, Britt, and best of luck to the lads this Saturday against Cardiff. Don't forget, if you have any thoughts you would like to share with us, please get in touch via Twitter at Borough Red Army or use the hashtag RedArmyTV. I'm back to Dave in the studio.
Cracking stuff, thanks Sam. We're talking Player of the Year. Let's get some background on this, fellas. Rocky, if I can ask you first. The Middlesbrough Official Supporters Club, fellas, you're on the committee, aren't you? Secretary and chairman. Tell us about the Supporters Club first and foremost. You know, members club?
Well, yeah, it's a members-only club. Obviously, new members welcome all the time, right throughout the year. We run from the 1st of August to the 31st of July. Immense following so far. We had 140 or so there last night. On Tuesday evening it was, wasn't it? Seems a long time ago now, mate, to be honest. And I think there was 117, 120 members, which is a fair old percentage, and the rest were guests of the membership as well, sponsors, etc.
Yeah, people like Tony McAndrew there as guests as well, Mark Page. Mark is is the president.
See.
What we'll do is we'll dig into the awards after this short break we're going to take very shortly. But how important is it for fans to be able to recognise the performers, if you like?
Well, I mean, we all know that last season wasn't a great season, but there were still standout performers. So they basically wanted to recognise that, as we do each season, and give the awards for the people that have, even in a bad season, stand out. And Ben Gibson did that.
Yeah. OK, well, let's take that short break and we'll get into the awards after this. Welcome back. Let's get into these awards then. Just before we do, it's plug time. You also do Zetland FM, don't you?
I do indeed, yes.
Give the show a plug.
Monday evening, Monday night sport, Zetland FM, 6 till 7 o'clock. All the latest borough news and all the news from the local non-league scene as well. And other sports are covered, but we do kind of concentrate quite a lot on football.
Right, so Redcar, Gisborough, MOSC, all that sort of area, particularly that signal does stretch across Middlesbrough and into Norton as well. I've had it in Norton, in the High Street. So that's Zetland FM, good man. Let's get into the awards then. So there were 3 awards on the night this week. The first one we'll have a look at is Young Player of the Year. Now, Dale Fry, I remember, picked it up last year. It wasn't Dale Fry this year. It was Adama Traore. Why do you think the members went for Adama? I
just think, because I think it's more to do with obviously the promise that he showed last season. I know he's had a bit of an in and out season this season, but it is based on last season. And yeah, he wasn't, we all know he's not the finished product, but he was a very promising young player, and that was just to recognise the fact that he did show at stages last season that he could be a really good player for us if he could knuckle down and, you know, concentrate on certain areas of his game, and he will improve, and I think that was reflected in the votes that he got.
You're still confident we can turn him into that finished article?
Me, no, I'm not. I mean, I think the last time I was on this show I mentioned unicycles and plates was the only thing that was missing from him, and he still doesn't convince me, I'm afraid. My granddad used to say to me, you can't put in what nature left out, and I really, really do want him to play well. I want him to have a cracking game. He'd probably be remembered for scoring the goal of the century at the Riverside, and then completely forgotten about because he's just not my cup of tea, shall we say.
OK, that's fair comment. So as I mentioned, there were 3 awards. There was also the Community Player of the Year award. George Friend, obviously a big favourite every year because he does an awful lot for the community. Rocky, not George this year either. A change there. Adam Forshaw.
Yeah, this is one the club picked themselves. The foundation and MFC pick the player in the community award. The trophy itself is dedicated to a previous chairman called John Ovington. Certainly, I think Simon will know more about John than I certainly did, because I've only been involved with the Supporters Club as a chairman for 3 seasons, and I think he's maybe 3 or 4 chairmen previous to that. We picked the trophy, the club picked the tab up, which is always a blessing. And as I say, we get to know, and thankfully the player was available last night for the awards.
He does an awful lot, and congratulations to Adam Forshaw for picking that one up. But the big one of the night, obviously, that a lot of the members were there for, was the Player of the Year. So no surprise, he's one of our own, Ben Gibson.
Yes, indeed. I mean, just, you know, we all know last season wasn't a great season, but we did look solid in defence most of the time, and he was a big rock in that defence. And, you know, breaking through into the England team, like I say, he is one of our own, and really, to me, there was no debate on who was going to get that particular award, because nobody performed better than Ben Gibson last season.
It's been interesting, hasn't it? We saw Dale Fry have a cracking start to the season, and then there was that one slip up and he lost his place. Ryan Shotton came in, didn't have the most solid of performances. Danny Ayala's come in. I love Danny Ayala, but again, he's not been himself. He's not been the Danny Ayala that we saw in the previous championship season, that's for certain. But the one we don't talk about, you know, in if you like, under par performances, is Ben Gibson. He's rock solid.
And yet you've seen on social media he's been getting some bad press. One in particular said the manager's been swapping and changing, the centre-halves looking over their shoulders, and there's been one consistent centre-half, and he's the one that needs dropping.
What?
I don't know what they're watching. I really don't know what they're watching.
Absolutely.
I just backtracked. Actually, Ben won Young Player of the Year twice in a row previous to Dale Fry, so Ben stepped up from the little one to the big one. I mean, there's no doubt the guy is going to be a top-notch player, and the guy is still only 23 himself, so he's got a big future.
Just ticked over to 24, I think. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So, cracking, and well done the Supporters Club for sorting that one out. Let's move on then. Borough. People seem to be sussing us out pretty easily in the games, and this is a concern for some. Maybe, you know, feeling they can have a go at us quickly, put us under pressure because we're not starting quickly. Do you think people are, you know, have looked at us and said, big money spend, big favourites, previous Premier League team, we've got to do something to stop them? Are they targeting us?
Well, obviously we have spent big, we have got high ambitions, but we don't go for it from the start. You know, it's all right, teams coming out and saying, yeah, we can maybe have a go at these, but we're not starting games quickly ourselves. I tend to think if we just went out for it a bit more from the start, instead of waiting either to fall but a goal behind or, you know, get towards the end of the first half. But we're not starting quick enough, and that's, to me, is a big concern because I've seen it too often this season.
Interesting one. Tell you what we're going to do, we'll move on to Cardiff very shortly because it's not the small matter of, they used to be league leaders, they're not at the moment, but they're up there at the top end of the table. They're coming to the Riverside this weekend. But before that, let's catch up with the latest goings on around being a Borough fan. Here's Heidi with the news.
Cyrus Christie and Darren Randolph would be preparing for another challenge after being handed Denmark in their World Cup qualifying playoff. The Republic of Ireland internationals ensure their names were in the hat for the draw with a win over Wales in Cardiff earlier this month. Christie, who's played a big part in Ireland's qualifying campaign, says that Martin O'Neill's side are up for the challenge against the Danes. Middlesbrough Football Club is proud to be supporting MFC Foundation's Week of Action. The week-long initiative aims to raise awareness of the independent charity and the work it does within Teesside. The Week of Action will see Borough's entire first-team squad and coaching staff visit various sites within the local community to discover more of what the foundation is doing to raise aspiration and change lives in our region. Red Army will be providing transport to and from Middlesbrough game away to Hull on Tuesday the 31st of October. Ticket prices are £15 for children under 18 and £19 for adults. Pickups are from Gisborough, Redcar, Six Meadows and Anson Farm. And if you have any news you want to share with us, please get in touch. Email news@redarmy.tv or via social media at Borough Red Army. And back to you, Dave, in the studio.
Heidi. Plenty for them to be doing. Very sad Scandinavian accent, I know, but just had to do it. Cheers, Edge. Fellas, let's have a look at Cardiff. Last time we met them, didn't Fabio score a cracking goal, Rocky?
A cracker, yes. Half volley from...
For them?
Yes, for Cardiff. I went no Welsh there as well.
Oh,
no, you were Scandinavian there, wasn't it?
I was trying, failing miserably.
Yes, a cracking goal, about 22-yarder, half volley, I remember. But we did win 3-1 in the end.
We don't have a bad record against Cardiff, do we? Am I tempting fate? I'll touch somewhat.
Yeah, when people say that, usually come unstuck. No, it isn't a bad record. I've not looked into it much myself.
I think we've is it 7 out of the last 10 or something like that?
I'll take your word for it, but I don't remember too many losses against them, apart from that one in the Cup. That was a disastrous one. I think we remember that one. And that was like the road to rack and ruin for Gareth Southgate's team. No, generally in the league, we've come out on top.
What are you expecting, Rocky? Are you expecting... well, I'm not. I'll get your scoreline at the end. Are you expecting us now to say, right, okay, lick the wounds a bit. This is top of the table side. We've really got to come out all guns blazing, or
this is Borough. Mark, he said earlier there.
Don't we do it the hard way? Don't we normally perform against the top teams?
Yes, this is Borough. This is what we're about. I was going to say Mark said something last night, but this is the Borough. This is what we're used to. We know we play well against the top teams. Always. That's in the rules. And I don't subscribe to all this records, good records, bad records and that. It's a game of football, 11 against 11, and we will win on Saturday. I have no doubt about it.
Certain Mr. Tomlin's on the books of Cardiff. He hasn't played much this season, but would he get a warm welcome?
He did a decent job for us. He left us slightly under a cloud, I suppose. But while he was here, he was a bit of a fan's favourite, really, wasn't he? He's he did do a decent job for us. Scored in the playoff semi-final, I think I remember. Cracking goal, that one. But there's nothing that we should be booing him for, I don't think.
We'll come on to the predictions shortly, but is it too early in the season to think that if we don't perform and don't get the result on Saturday, that we are too far adrift of the likes of Cardiff?
For me, no. We're only 9 points behind the leaders now. No, we're 11th, but it's only 3 games. Yes, the clubs above us may pick a point up or 2 as well. But all we need is 3-4 wins in a row. That's capable, that's doable. What we lost, still only lost, what, was it 2 in 10 now? It was 1 in 9 the other week. So yeah, we haven't lost that many games. I mean, I don't know why people are pressing the panic buttons all over the place. I really don't. It just defies reality.
I said it weeks ago, I said it last week, I'll say it this week. Best squad in the league. I believe the best manager in the league. I just don't think it's gelled yet because of too much newness, too many changes. I'm still going for the Borough to get promotion this season. Call me a fool at the end. I don't care. So predictions time. Where you going, Rocky? 3-1.
6-1.
6-1. Yeah.
3-1, mate.
3-1. Where you going, mate?
A little bit tighter. I'm going 2-1 to the Borough.
2-1 to the Borough.
Yeah.
I'll go. I fancy 2-0 to Borough actually. So we're all going Borough. Just a quick reminder, thank you fellas for being in the studio. Just a reminder, the next Red Army coach with availability is Hull. So get on RedArmy.tv. Your coach travel to Hull City for that game at the end of the month. Gents, thanks once more. We'll catch you in the studio very, very soon, I hope. We'll see you next week.